This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and you may recall this little Trutest stereo amplifier that we featured in a recent video. This is a El Cheapo Japanese-made model, probably from the early 60s. No power transformer, which is not good. It uses 4 tubes, a 12AX7, 2 50C5s, and a 35W4. Well, getting it working was not very difficult. Just needed a recap job and the controls clean, but if you recall from the last video, when we connected any equipment to this amp besides a record changer, the hum was so bad that you couldn't listen to it. It was overpowering. So, tried several things to get rid of the hum. I tried this ground loop isolator on the input. That didn't do one thing to stop it. I tried plugging the amplifier into an isolation transformer, this thing right here. That didn't stop it. I tried grounding the amplifier to earth ground. That didn't stop it. The only way I could stop the hum was to bypass, where is it? That capacitor right there that I just have tacked in right now. It connects between the actual chassis and circuit ground. It's a 0.047 microfarad. I could bypass that capacitor and plug the amplifier into the isolation transformer for safety reasons, and that got rid of the hum 100%. So I ordered this isolation transformer off of eBay, but there's only one problem. It's a big honking sucker. It ain't like it'll just fit in this little empty space here. Now, over the past 50 years, electronic components, for the most part, have gotten a lot smaller, especially capacitors and resistors, but things like transformers hadn't really gotten that much smaller. Now, there's a couple of ways I could handle this. The first way, and probably the best way, would be to install this transformer in an enclosure and hardwire this amp to that enclosure, so could nobody just plug the amp straight into an AC outlet and just have 2 separate boxes. I could bypass the off-on switch in the amplifier and just add a switch to the enclosure that the transformer is in for power, but I don't have an enclosure here suitable, and I'm not really inclined to go buy one right now. So what I'm probably going to do is, at least for the time being, just mount the transformer to the rear apron of the amplifier chassis. Now, I won't drill any additional holes to do this. I'll just mount it to some of the existing ventilation slots, and that way if I decide I want to alter it later, or if somebody else wants to alter it, they can do so, and it won't mess up the appearance of the amplifier. And then that way we can safely use this amplifier on any equipment that we wish to plug into it. Okay, we have our isolation capacitor removed. The chassis is now tied to circuit ground, so presently this amplifier would be extremely dangerous. This would be something that could put you 6 feet under. So now we want to add our isolation transformer, and that's real simple to do. This is a triad isolation transformer that you can get off of eBay or from Antique Electronics Supply, or I'm sure from a variety of other sources. It's designed to operate on either 115 volts or 230 volts. And for 230 volts, you just put the 2 windings in series. For 115 volts, you just put them in parallel. And then we'll just wire our power cord and use our switch and the amplifier for the primary winding, and then we'll just connect our secondary winding, the 2 red wires, to the amplifier, and this white wire is just a shield wire that probably just connect that to the chassis. Okay, I just added some additional hookup wire and some heat shrink to our secondary leads because they're not long enough. And someone commented in the original video about this amplifier that I should just add a 3-wire power cord to it and be done with it. Well, that's great for equipment that uses a power transformer, but for equipment that does not use a power transformer, that's not always a good thing. Now, I've seen a couple of series wired classroom record players that had 3-wire power cords, and they worked fine as long as they were plugged into an outlet that was wired correctly. But if you plugged it into an outlet that where the hot and neutral were reversed, it hummed like crazy, just like this amplifier was doing. And a lot of manufacturers did away with the 3-wire cords on their cheaper series wired record players for that reason. And speaking of comments, something that I find comical, whether it be on someone commenting on one of my YouTube videos or someone else's YouTube video or on a Facebook group or whatever, when they get on there and complain about, oh, I don't like the way this is being ran, I'm leaving this group, or when someone comments on a YouTube video, oh, I don't like the way you do this, I'm unsubscribing. I had such a comment on a recent video of mine, and I had to sit on my hands to keep from typing. Well, don't let the screen door hit you in the butt on the way out. You know, if you don't like what's going on a Facebook group, or if you don't like the way somebody on YouTube presents their videos, then just don't watch them. You know, nobody's twisting your arm. Fact is, there's some people on YouTube that I just really don't care to watch. But I've never said one word to them about it. I just don't watch their videos. Because as far as my channel, I'm not going to change. I've been doing it this way for, 8-9 years now, and I'm going to keep doing it this way. Okay, our secondary is now wired in place. One side of the secondary winding goes to circuit ground, which is now the chassis itself. And then the other secondary winding goes over here to our input to the rectifier tube. And yes, I'm going to get a resistance across that because I'm reading across the secondary winding. No, that's not shorted. And as you can tell, our chassis if I can get my meter probe to make contact. Alright, good ground connection there to our filter capacitors. And I should get continuity to these, the ground side of these signal input jacks. And we do. Now all we need to do is hook up our primary to the power cord and power switch. Mount everything up, and we should finally have an amplifier that's safe to use and hum free. Okay, we're electrically wired in place. This shield ground, I'm going to leave it loose for now, see how it works. If it works okay without it, I'll probably just snip it off, because in this application I really don't think that it's needed. Okay, there we are, physically mounted and reassembled. And now we have hum-free music. Got a little power supply ripple, but would you get that off of there, dadgummit? Just go back, you stupid piece of crap. Got a copyright notice the last time that Beach Boys song came over something of mine. But yeah, these power supplies are not very well filtered in these amplifiers. But you really can't hear the hum over the music, and that's the main thing. So even turned all the way down, the hum's still there, so that tells us it's the power supply. This amp is about as basic as it gets, but it doesn't sound too bad for what it is. And yes, one day it may be available for sale, but not right now. Get this coronavirus crap behind us before I really get cranked back up on the eBay thing again. I was reading a comment from somebody on one of the Facebook groups that said they usually sell between $3,000 and $4,000 a month worth of audio equipment on eBay, but they said during the month of March, so far they've only made about $98. So just really no need in trying to list anything for sale right now. And who knows, I may decide to keep this. You never know.